Hey, what's up? My name's Chris Friendly. I'm not a musician. I'm not, I never, got great at any instruments, but I want to try to, contribute any way I can. And I'd like to spread out some, music. Obviously, I'm not going to get rich from this. You know what I mean? I'm not Aaron McLeod. I'm not any influencer. I'm not going to make any money. I'm just trying to spread some music, let you guys know some of the stuff that's coming out, some of the stuff that's coming out in the future, some of the stuff that's come out in the last year or two. Hopefully I'm going to make a couple more, and I'm going to, kind of focus more on some different genres, maybe like the oi that's going on. I have a friend, Marco, who does No Frontier Records over in London, and he gets a lot of the European stuff for me, and I get it off him, I buy it off him. There's a lot of good, I grew up in the 90s, and there was that street punk sound, a lot of bands like The Unseen, Showcase Showdown from Boston, Blank 77, of course The Casualties, The Virus from Philly was a little later, and there seems to be a lot of stuff like that, a lot of that like 90s street punk sound coming out, like that, street punk, pogo. I mean, that's what we called it back then. I know street punk, a lot of people kind of use that for like that kind of oi sound now, like Cockspar and stuff, but back in the 90s we kind of used it for the guys with the spiky hair punk. But here's some stuff that I just want to show you. It's stuff that's just come out in the last year or two. First of all, the Uprise. If you guys never heard, these guys were from Philadelphia back in like the late 80s, and they released this 7-inch. If you can find it, it's a really cool 7-inch. Just 4 songs, solid songs. No, they're, it was on Oi Records, which only had about 3 releases. It was cool because it, one of the addresses was in Marsville, and I lived in Marsville, which is right across the bridge from Trenton, New Jersey, where I grew up, where I lived, and right outside of Philadelphia. These guys were from Philadelphia. They got involved in some other groups afterwards, but they recorded an album and it never got out until just recently when I think Pat from Violent Society and some people with Creep Records got together with the guys, and they finally released this album. This is on colored vinyl. You can get it at Creep Records. Today in today's age, you don't need to give exact web addresses. You guys can just look it up on Google, look it up on Instagram. But it's available. Cool picture. Also, these guys, there's a really cool story. If you ever get a chance, I grew up right around the corner from a club called City Gardens. A lot of great bands played there. It was real, a lot of punk bands, because Trenton is right in between New York and Philly. So a lot of guys, back in the day, back in the DIY punk scene, bands were, still mapping out the country. And a day that you didn't play is a day you didn't eat because you didn't make any money. So with Trenton being right in between New York and Philly, a lot of bands played there. Like I said, I grew up right around the corner. As a kid, I used to see the punk rockers and stuff. And these guys, the Uprise, played along with Pagan Babies, another cool hardcore band from Philly. They had a little bit of hip hop influence. The drummer was a graffiti artist, which they did. Graffiti was real prominent in like the New York hardcore scene, and of course that spread out through the East Coast. But the Pagan Babies, the Uprise, played with the Exploited, and it was a real crazy show. A lot of skins came, because back in the day, I mean still to this day, a lot of people seem to have a problem with Lottie. A lot of guys, a lot of the patriotic skins have issues with them, so it was like almost a riot. If you get a chance, there's a DVD, Blu-ray called Riot on the Dance Floor, and it might mention it. And there's also a book that's really cool. I think it's called No Slam Dancing, No Spikes, No Slam Dancing, No Spikes, No Stage Diving, I think is the name of it. And it's a lot of first-hand, like essay type things from different musicians that came through and played City Gardens. There's a real cool story of Gibby from the Buffalo Surfers almost burning the place down. And it also goes into that Exploited show. The club really, you know, there's a lot of, you know, it was a, you know, real, you know, of course it wasn't CBGBs or nothing, but a lot of cool stuff happened, a lot of great shows, and there's a lot of cool stories. If you wanna, if you're into any of that like punk, hardcore, underground music, definitely check out the Blu-ray. Definitely check out the book. It's really cool. So, I wanted to show this. This is really cool. This is a 7-inch. It's came out on Revelation Records. You know, of course, hardcore, you know, label. This was from 1987. I'm pretty sure it was their first release. It's one of those classic hardcore 7 inches with like 10 songs. In fact, I think it might have 11 because I think there might be 2 songs were on one track. But this was re-released because Lou from Sick of All is struggling, fighting cancer right now. So I think they've repressed this a couple times, and the proceeds are going directly to Lou. And you know, when you're fighting cancer and stuff, you know, there's a lot more than medical bills. You know, you're losing work. You know, your family that wants to be with you, they're losing work. Just a lot of things. And you know, this scene is about family. You know what I mean? And you know, try to help people out. You know what I mean? We are a minority. Each one of us counts. Also, the graphic on the front was done by Jimmy Litwalk, who is a graffiti, not a graffiti, a tattoo artist. It's, I think I'm saying it right, Jimmy, J-I-M-E, Litwalk, L-I-T, Walk, W-A-L-K. He's a tattoo artist. Check him out. This is one of my favorite releases. Ever since these guys, you know, started and made a presence known online, I checked them out. They're from Philadelphia. And then I found out that they were working with Dismantled Records, which is a guy named Kurt James. I think I'm saying that right, from New Hampshire. I'm gonna get to him. I'm gonna get to him a lot more in another video because he's doing a lot of that like kind of 90s street punk sound. A lot of great bands like hold on, fuck, stop it. Like I was saying, this is Impact Driver. This is actually a test pressing. Kurt was there's not really much to it, but it is one of the test pressings. And the cool thing about that is I bothered Kurt from Dismantled Records from pretty much the time that I knew this album was coming out, and I got it early. He sent me a copy, so I am not suggesting or endorsing bothering poor Kurt. He's a really cool guy, but I talked to him. I've been buying records from him for a while. I think the first record I bought from him was this, Oil Change. Now, unfortunately, these guys split up. They're not going to be playing anymore. This is another test pressing, but they actually did a special cover for this. I believe this cover, actually I know this cover was designed by Marco from No Front Teeth Records over in London. I believe it's Sean, who was in Chernobyl Babies. I could be wrong. No, actually I'm pretty positive because I've talked to Sean before. I just, you know, just want to make sure I'm not screwing anything up. You know, a lot of guys, there's a lot of bands out there. But this is an amazing album. I mean, this is like, I want to say, like, it's got some really great anthems on it. The song Anthem, you know, coincidentally, is an amazing song. 10 Years, Lovable Losers. As you can see, this is numbered 9 out of 15. And I actually take pride in knowing that I am the owner of one of 15 of these in existence. Speaking of anthems, the Impact Driver, this is, if you're a punk rock way hardcore guy and you go to work, especially like some labor intensive job, this is the kind of shit you want to listen to. Come home, get a Pabst Blue Ribbon, and listen to this. Pretty soon you'll find you got your fist in the air and you're singing along. Speaking of No Front Teeth Records, Oil. This is a killer album. This is actually a 3D version cover. It came with 3D glasses. It actually has my favorite is a song called Skinhead the Song. It's real fun, great song. I believe Joe Queer guested on this on a track, and I believe a couple other people. These guys are great. They have a couple other releases. Definitely check them out. This album isn't very new, but I have to mention these guys. These are definitely one of my favorite bands out there right now. They're just putting out some killer shit. It's just, I don't want to like call it anything in particular, pigeonhole them. It's just really great punk, hardcore, oi, whatever you want to call it. Just underground rock music with a little bit of aggression in it. Killer album. Also, one of the members, a guy named Chubby from Chubby and the Gang. This is an amazing London rock album. Whatever you want to call it, pub rock. It's got a lot of influences, a lot of early rock and roll influences, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I mean, I've even read in some reviews that they even said some like doo-wop influences, but it's just a really good just rock album. I mean, some of the songs are a little faster, a little more aggressive, some of them are slower. Just beginning to end, just really good songs, really good rock album. I wanted to mention this. This is a limited edition copy of Blood for Blood, White Trash Anthem, and the reason why I'm mentioning this is because if you don't know, Bloodhound Gang has put a couple teasers up on their social media pages, suggesting something. I don't know if they're going to be getting back together. I know Buddha, the singer, I don't really want to get too into it, but he got involved in some kind of criminal activity that involved a young girl, and obviously the other members kind of wanted to separate themselves from him. I'm sorry if I got anything wrong. That's all. That's just what I heard from some, and I like I said, I don't really want to get into it, but I know White Trash Rob kind of took over the vocals. I think they played a set at This Is Hardcore in Philadelphia, and hopefully it looks like 2025 is going to see something from Blood for Blood. These are one of the guys that I really love when you're really angry at the world. If you feel like an outcast, outsider, and you want to break something, fuck Limp Bizkit, put this on. And if I get to see them live, that's one of the things on my bucket list. No Time. This is one of those great kind of like hardcore punk albums, but kind of with that Skin influence. It's kind of almost like an evolution of like that Warzone, because Rabies. I know that Rabies has been accused of some things recently, but a lot of people have come to his defense and have said it's bullshit. I don't know. But Rabies was known as like the skinhead in America. I think the skinhead movement in England and in the US was a little different. I know hearing from a lot of the early guys in like DC, the whole like shaved head thing was more of a response to like the long hair kind of metal guys. And of course the bridge between those two was Motorhead, and we all know that. But these guys are great. And the members have been in some other groups. There's a Machine Gun. And like I said, I'm pretty sure like these guys, No Time, like I said, members from No Time's from Pittsburgh, and some of these groups are from like Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, maybe some other places. And I think like, you know, they have some members that were previously in groups like Machine Gun, Chronic Abuse. I just got this. The only copy I found was overseas, but luckily I got it pretty quickly. You also have the Detainees. This is like I said, members from Philadelphia, Pittsburgh. There's other groups that No Time. Seems like a lot of those guys are real scene veterans. There's other groups that are related, like Heavy Discipline, Concealed Blade. These guys, I just got back to them. Pleasers AD. These guys are from Australia. And it just so happens I live by an animal shelter, and these guys posted on some social media some stuff about adopting dogs and everything. This was released on Lionheart Records. I think they're out of Germany. And I remember sitting there waiting for exactly 12 Eastern time, because Lionheart Records, a lot of their stuff is very limited release. They release a lot of the conservative military image stuff, and that stuff sold out. You really had to get online and order it. The other thing about Pleasers AD, they have some shirts that are really cheap compared to a lot of stuff. No offense to other groups, you know what I mean? Everybody's got to make their money. But even though they're from Australia, I think, you know, check them out on Bandcamp. They got some stuff available. I don't know if the 7-inch is still available. I think it's available on cassette. But the other thing about them is befriend them on social media, because they're always representing a lot of stuff in Australia. And there's a lot of really cool underground rock, hardcore, punk type stuff going on in Australia right now. Check it out. But speaking of conservative military image, this is their latest release. If you're in the hardcore punk scene, you had to hear these guys. This one was on Triple B Records, which is kind of like a hardcore label. This is a 5-song, 12-inch. They've put out a lot of stuff over the last couple years. I have it. Just not with me. Speaking of hardcore, Haywire from Boston. This is some really killer, just, you know, that straight up hardcore that like came from New York, kind of evolved there and then spread. Hardcore in the 80s kind of had like scenes all over the place, but like those Boston, New York guys, DC had their sound. But this is a great album to represent Boston and the hardcore scene. Amazing album. When I want to listen to a hardcore record from today, this is what I reach for. They have another release, Demolition, something like that. Check that out too. This is on Days Records. I don't know if the first pressing is available, but they might have some represses. Rally Cry from Fresno, California. This was released on cassette. Now it is on 12-inch. It's on Common People Records. I think it's 5 songs. Check it out. You know, Oi, kind of, you know, like that Oi. All this stuff really today, a lot of the stuff I'm showing right now is kind of that Oi influenced hardcore punk. This is, you know, definitely more of that Oi skinhead sound. Please Die from Philadelphia. They have a couple releases. They got a release on Violated Records. Violated Records was also the label that put out Uprise. I mentioned Creep Records. Creep Records is the record store in Philadelphia that was selling the Uprise album, but the Uprise album was on Violated. I'm glad that I caught that just now and fixed that. But these guys have an album on Violated. This is on Lionheart Records. They also have a couple other releases on Lionheart Records. A lot of Lionheart Records come with pressing info and numbered. Like I said, a lot of Lionheart stuff is very limited. I believe this was released the same time as Rage and Ruin, another really hardcore skinhead group from Philadelphia. Awesome album. I just saw them. The Uprise did a show in honor of the release that I showed you earlier. Rage and Ruin, The Heels, which are some members of Pagan Babies. Rage and Ruin, Impact Driver, The Uprise. Amazing show. This is an album that cost me, it's one of my 3 Figures albums that went past the $100 mark. Unfortunately, I wasn't aware of these guys when this was released, and that's why I ended up spending a pretty penny on it. But just recently, they've released a lot of stuff. I think they have a mix with American Justice, a mix with, or a split, my bad, with American Justice, a split with U.S. Violence. And this is their latest release on Oitism Records. Oitism, a girl or a female woman. I don't want to be disrespectful. I'm not sure her name off the top of my head, but if you contact her, she'll get back to you. She's doing a lot of really cool things. Check her out. She's got some cool releases, some other stuff, shirts and stuff online. And Jackknife Johnny is a cool group. I think they're more of that Bover kind of sound, that English Skin type of, you know, rock. They'll be coming out on Oitism soon. Gel. This is a hardcore group from New Jersey, and I really wanted to mention these guys. This is from Convulse Records. It's a couple years old. They have a newer release that I ordered, but I just haven't gotten yet. And this is just a really awesome hardcore album. It's just got like that groove to it that like it just makes you move. It makes you wish that you were 18 years old and you could still get on the dance floor and you know, start throwing those Krishna windmills. But you know, a little too old for that. Now this came out a while ago, and like I'll get to it on another video, but like the Sex Pistols, when I discovered these guys, like these guys were like ingrained in my memory the way like Star Wars is. I was born 1980, so like Star Wars, you know, when you're a kid, all the movies just kind of meshed together. And as you got a little bit older, closer to puberty, you just wanted to see Leia in the slave outfit, bikini. But what I'm saying is, like, Star Wars was just like, it was just ingrained in your memory. It's part of culture. It's just part of everything around you. You don't remember the first time you saw it. It's just like you always knew it. It was just always there in like your consciousness. And the Sex Pistols, I just remember. I don't remember exactly when, but I remember seeing like Sex Pistols patches on people's jackets and stuff growing up. And the reason why I showed this, it's a really cool album because it's actually the original lineup, their demos before Sid came in. And you know, I don't like to shit on Sid because Sid was definitely part of the punk culture. He was one of the first punk rockers, the first fan, the Sex Pistols' biggest fan. You know, he wasn't the greatest guy. He did do a lot of fucked up shit. He was also kind of naive and taken advantage of and caught up. You know, it's a whole mixed story with Sid. But this is when the Sex Pistols had an actual bass player, and it was recorded. And the reason why I mention it, not just because they're, you know, my favorite group and they have the greatest punk album of all time, one of the greatest rock albums of all time, but if you're a collector and you're a Sex Pistols fan, they're releasing a lot of live albums from all the different shows in America. If anybody knows the history of the Sex Pistols, Malcolm didn't want them to play in New York and LA. He kind of threw them to the wolves. He didn't want to preach to the converted, so he sent them to the South. Sid was in the band at that time, so like there was pretty much no bass or bass player playing the different song. But if you're a collector or something, right now some of those shows have been released on vinyl and they're up for pre-order for some of the other shows. Like, you know, they played Atlanta, Nashville, San Francisco being the last. I wanted to show this album. This is Shitfaced from Japan. Really cool, fun pogo punk album. And it's on Joe Pogo Records, and that's why I wanted to show this, because Joe Pogo Records has got some really cool shit out now. A band called X-Rated I think they're from the West Coast, California. A cool, like, fun street punk, pogo punk, fun band with kind of like male, female vocals back and forth. That was pre-order, but I think they're going out now. So I think if you order it, it'll get mailed. That's Joe Pogo. They've also got a couple other, they got a few different recent releases. And also there are Anger Flares, another band from Japan, more of an oi band. Street punk oi, and their stuff was really hard to get. I tried as hard as I could to go to their sites, and most of it was in Japanese. There was no English translation, so Anger Flares were really hard to get in the US. So now they're releasing, I believe the album's called Oi's Not Dead. It's pre-order on Joe Pogo, and like I said, go to Joe Pogo Records. Check it out. They got some stuff that just came out. They got some older stuff that is around. The Spiky Tops. The reason why I mention these guys is they feature Renee Blanks. Now, if you go to shows in New Jersey or Philadelphia, you'll see Renee. You'll see the singer guitar player in the band, Andrew Bedlam, who runs Pogo City Radio. Cool guy. He's got, you know, it's kind of like a radio show or whatever, online, of course, I think, or streaming or whatever. Pogo City Radio. He was in a group called One Sided. I believe they did a split with the Parasitics. But now he's in the Spiky Tops with Renee Blanks. Blank 77 are one of those really early bands in the East Coast scene. Kind of when like that American hardcore mixed with that stuff going on in England, because punk rock kind of really became punk rock in England in the 80s as far as like style and stuff. When you think of like the bondage pants and the mohawks and the studded jackets, and then that combined with the DIY scene in America with the independent labels that all those bands started in the US, and the music brought that aggressiveness and everything, and that combined with that UK 82 and the Oi, and that's what put the seeds for the American street punk that I kind of mentioned earlier. And Blanks were definitely one of the first bands. They were around real early, like I'm talking like 90, 91. Renee Blanks, Blanks and Renee and all Blanks are from New Jersey, you know, my home state. Renee Blanks, I believe her older brother was in US Chaos, which is also a really cool group. Check them out. And the last thing I did was I just grabbed some old records from the East Coast, my kind of like East Coast section of my records. My record, you know, I think a lot of people know that you don't really have your stuff alphabetical, you just know where everything is, kind of. The Cuffs. The Cuffs were from Camden County, New Jersey. Of course, there's Camden, the city, you know, right across the river from Philadelphia. I believe they were from a little outside of Camden, but these guys were really, really involved in the Philadelphia scene. They played the Kill Time a ton. They started off as just like really straight punk, and they moved into more of like a slower, oi kind of anthetic albums. I believe their full length was called Bottoms Up. They put out about 3 or 4 7-inches. I think one of them was a split with the Vigilantes from Boston, who singer Jasper sang with the Virus for a little bit. Really cool band. The Cuffs, Bottoms Up. If you can get it on record, awesome. If you can get it anyway, get it. Check it out. Bomb Squadron. Bomb Squadron is known for having a couple members that went on to form the Virus. If you search online, you'll find some crazy stories about the guys in Bomb Squadron fighting with each other and threatening each other and stuff. And they were also known as Pepsi Generation, and they put a 7-inch out under that name. And if anybody can find that and would be willing to part with it, get a hold of me, because I am looking for that. And Submachine from Pittsburgh. Now, if I didn't mention it, or if you didn't notice or hear me, No Time is from Pittsburgh. These guys are another really early, really in the scene pretty early. There was a lot of cool bands from Pittsburgh and stuff. Groups like Real Enemy, Half-Life is a great group. And Submachine was really kind of like, the best way I would describe it is just drunk punk. They put out a couple 7-inches, I think about maybe 2 full lengths. I could be, you know, maybe more, maybe less. Awesome group, check them out if you just want some really fun punk rock. And I just want to let you guys know, if you're looking for some stuff, the No Front Teeth, the Eagle Man is coming out, or just came out, just available. Get a hold of No Front Teeth in London. They're kind of like a English rock group. The influences they mention in their online were kind of like the Straight Arrows, the Buzzcocks, the Jam. Who Remembers? Cool New Jersey hardcore punk rockers on Rebirth Records. Check that out. Go to Brain Slash Records and you'll see Cheap Heat. They have a cassette available and they have a 7-inch for pre-order. Short Leash just came out. Can't can't remember the label off the top of my head, but I'm sure you can find it. Short Leash. Oh, it's right on the top of my head, but I don't want to waste any more video. And like I said, check out Dismantle, check out Joe Pogo, check out Mr. Face, check out Oitism. There's always great stuff coming out. You know, get out there. Anybody that says punk rock is dead, I don't know, maybe you're fucking dead, because I was just at a show a week ago, and it seemed pretty fucking alive to me. And these guys aren't out there making millions. You know, this isn't Motley Crue. Go to a show, buy a pin, buy a patch, buy a record, find out which band is out of town, support the scene. These guys putting out records, they're not Capitol Records, they're not fucking David Geffen. Buy a record, because most of these guys put that money right back into putting something else out. That's how Ian MacKaye did it. Henry Rollins put out SOA, State of Alert. He was making the big bucks as manager of Haagen-Dazs. He told Ian MacKaye, take the money you make off of it, put it into the next record. And Ian MacKaye, I'm sure you guys know, him and the other guys put records together in their kitchen for a while. Like I said, support. You know, I know guys don't have a lot of money, but you know, support these guys. Buy a t-shirt. Streaming music is cool, but that doesn't get to the pocket of these bands. Hopefully I'll make another one of these, get into something else. Like I said, I mentioned a couple things. Talk to you guys later. Take care. Take care of each other.